What is up, everybody? Welcome back. Yes, I know I have been MIA, but don't worry, I have an explanation. But before we jump in, I want to let you know what we're discussing today on this episode. So I will be covering off on the latest Salt Lake City episode. We're finally in Greece. We also have some news because Jen Shah is officially a free woman this morning, and you're not going to believe what Wendy said about Angel in the sneak peek preview for next week's episode that has my jaw on the table because you really cannot make this stuff up. We definitely need to talk about this.
We need to talk about this.
All right, my friends, welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Wednesday, December 10th, and it is winter time, but it's also Christmas time. Okay, if you guys know me, you know I love Christmas. It's my favorite holiday. And I also want to cover off just before we jump in on the episode. I want to cover off because a lot of you guys have been like, where have you been on the podcast? You know, like a lot of you thought maybe something was wrong with your feed and it wasn't updating. And so I figured, let me give you some explanation because I feel like you deserve that. It's not my intention to leave gaps specifically when it comes to the podcast. It is a very important part of what I do here. However, there's some good reason behind why I had to take a step back just temporarily from the podcast because I don't know if I've been as vocal about this, but Jeff and I, my partner and I, we decided we were going to launch a frozen ravioli food brand this time last year. And the last couple of months, frankly, have been kind of a race to the end. There was these little things that we needed to tie up, make sure things were confirmed, and then get ready for the rollout process, which very, very excited about it. The brand is called Pasta Rituals, and we offer 3 flavors of frozen ravioli. So I have been spearheading a lot of the marketing initiatives and getting things rolled out for that. And so that has taken a lot of time away from other endeavors, such as the podcast. But also, I wanted to kind of not elevate. I don't want to say elevate is the right word, but I wanted to kind of expand the podcast a bit. I know this is a Bravo centric podcast, and I'm not steering away from any of that. So don't worry. But I do think there's room for other things to be discussed, things that I watch that are not Bravo related or things that pique my interest that I do want to talk to you guys about. So I will be doing that a little bit more going forward, and I hope you guys are okay with that. I also want to note that if you notice, I have basically the timestamps for this episode. So we will be doing that going forward. I know a lot of you guys are really busy. I know a lot of you guys just want to get to the meat and potatoes. I'm the same way. So I've decided that I will be putting the timestamps for each episode going forward. So if you're watching it on YouTube, hi YouTube, or you're listening on audio, hello audio, you can go into the description and see where it is that you want to go immediately, or if you want to come back to the episode, you know what you missed out on. Okay, so that is the explanation for why the podcast has been MIA, but I don't want you guys to fear. I am back, and with a vengeance, may I add, because I'm not mad about anything, by the way. I just feel like I am back. I'm so ready to take this podcast by its balls with all of you on the ride with me so that we can take this to the next level. I also owe you guys an episode just specifically on my BravoCon experience. I know that is long overdue, and I am working on that as we speak, but I wanted to jump in because we have some other things that are currently happening that we need to discuss. So before we jump into the Salt Lake City recap, I just want to run you through some news as of today that is happening in the Bravo universe. First up, we do have Jen Shah. Yes, the day has finally come, you guys. Jen Shah is now officially a free woman. Okay. Has someone checked in on Heather Gay? Has someone checked in on Heather? Listen, we knew this day was coming. We knew that she was going to be released today. So it's not the biggest shock. I think how everyone's feeling is a bit kind of like, like I'm not certain that 33 months for a telemarketing fraud scheme that was directed at the elderly is covered by a 33-month stint in jail. Because to me, I feel like that is absolutely abusive. And it's, I don't even want to get into some of the sad stories that have come out from the people that she directly impacted. I think there was one man who was in his 90s, so sad. I guess he had given over somewhat of like 6 figures to this telemarketing scheme. He took his own life, you guys. That's fucked up. That's fucked. Not even fucked up. It's fucked. Imagine you are in your fucking 90s and you fall for some bullshit ass scheme. Not saying that that's their fault. I'm saying like Jen and team, whoever was in it, like I get that she went into prison and she has served her time, but I don't think the public lashings were even given, right? She was kind of put in pretty immediately. So she didn't have to really deal with the public stance on her turning around and essentially admitting guilt all the way at the very end. But here we are 33 months later. It's supposed to be a 6.5-year term, mind you. And because she did some good things while she was behind there, well, yeah, you should be doing good things. What else are you going to fucking do behind bars? Like, what else are you going to be doing? Read a fucking book, try to do the community service so that you can be on good terms, so that you can be let out earlier than your actual time. But do I believe that that actually changed her? No. Will she go back to probably frauding people? Yeah, but probably in a different way. Probably in a different. I do not personally believe people that are in the business of scamming stop scamming. I think they get the slap on the wrist, they get in trouble, and then they find a different method to their madness. That's what I personally feel. I also feel like our justice system doesn't make any fucking sense, because there are people still doing time for selling marijuana 20 years ago that should have been let out at this point. But then yet people like Jen Shah, who can cause this much harm financially to the elderly, even causing one of them that we know of to take his own life over it, over his decision, because he got scammed. And she's out here smiling because she's out of jail. I don't know what you want me to be happy for here. I'm not happy for her. I don't really care. I think it's a joke. And no, she will not be back on Bravo TV. She's a huge fucking liability. I don't know why anyone would think she would ever be welcome back on reality television, at least on Bravo. I'm not saying that, the We TVs and the VH1s and the Zeus network of networks won't take her on and let her kind of come up with her own way of coming back into the spotlight. Because let's be fucking clear, what is she going to do for work now? What is she going to do? Time will tell, I guess. But, that's pretty much my thoughts on this whole Jen Shah being free. But you guys, if you've been listening to my short recaps about Potomac the last couple weeks, then you have also probably picked up on the fact that it's very, very clever how editing works, right? Because it's like they already know what's going on with the Osefos, and they typically will go back in and re-edit a few episodes at a time based on what's happening. If something's changed publicly, then they'll try to edit the episode a little bit, not to fit what's happening, but I feel they're doing it to kind of mess with us as viewers, because, the week before we were watching Wendy have like these massive renovations done to her home on the inside. And then we have her mom basically tooting her horn about how she lives this massively beautiful life because she gets to spend Wendy and Eddie's money, So this next week's episode, they gave us a preview And it's Giselle, Ashley, and Wendy. And they're all talking about Angel, which that's a whole other story in and of itself, Angel. But they're bringing up Angel, and Angel is brought up because Giselle is saying that word on the street is that her lease came to an end, and basically the landlords want her out. Like, basically, I guess that means like they're basically saying evicted. Evicted means that Angel did not pay her rent at this home, and so therefore the landlord has now begun the process of eviction. A lease being over and a landlord not wanting to renew for whatever reason is not eviction. It just means that we're not going to work together anymore. Like, I don't want you living in my house. And I have thoughts as to why that is. I don't think it had anything to do with financial reasons. I don't. I think it had everything to do with this landlord did not want their home being filmed for the show. If you live in Potomac, Maryland, even if you're renting, you're not spending less than $15,000 a month if you're living in a real Potomac home. And when I say a real Potomac home, I'm saying a mansion, because that's all there is in Potomac for the most part, are mega mansions, regular mansions, and oversized regular homes. Okay. Now, we know just by locations, because we see it on the show, Ashley historically has lived in Arlington, Virginia. Okay. Still part of the DMV, because again, if you live here, the DC metro area consists of DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So if you live in that little skirt, you can technically say you're in the DC area. But anyways, so Angel is being talked about as if like she's being thrown out of this house. Wendy then chimes in to say, well, we have a mutual friend, Angel and I, who just so happens to be a realtor. And the realtor told me that Angel told her she wants a house that looks $50,000 a month, but only wants to pay $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Now, Wendy, already I'm like looking at you sideways, because even let's just say, even if none of these allegations came out, you know damn well if you're doing something wrong financially behind the scenes, allegedly. So why are you speaking on other people's finances, specifically when she says Angel may be living above her means? I think that's a very strong statement to make when you've been accused of the things that you and Eddie have been accused of. Okay. So that, I'm sorry, you just can't make that up. This reunion, by the way, if Wendy does show up, which I feel at this point she will, because she showed up at BravoCon. Now, I will say it will depend on what happens on December 19th. They are due back in court, Wendy and Eddie, on December 19th. So we will see how this rolls out for them. But if they do go to the reunion, boy, oh boy, is there going to be a lot to ask her. But I just feel like she's not going to be able to answer a lot of things, because when things are this legal, it's like less is way more. But depending on how things work out for them, and if they don't end up having to go in to prison for anything, like they're done with, Wendy will be the entire storyline for everyone next season. You mark my words. And we will see flashbacks from this current season of the home renovations, of her talking about Angel living above her means, and even when she's a Happy Eddie this last week's episode, and she's using a debit card and doesn't know what PIN goes with what debit card, but we just found out that allegedly you guys were working with 40 different credit debit cards. So what is really going on? What is really happening? So I don't know. You guys let me know down below what you think about all this. I just find it to be a lot hypocritical of Wendy. A lot hypocritical? It's very hypocritical of Wendy if what's being alleged against her is actually true. And now I'm ready to talk about the latest episode of Salt Lake City. Okay? What happened on that plane? I'm so sick of hearing about this incident when we don't have any footage conveniently, and Meredith is deny. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, she's really holding her feet to the ground with this. She is not going to give in at all. But the ladies finally touched down in Greece. First stop is Santorini. Now, I have to say, as a Greek person, if you've never been to Greece, it is something like Mary said it perfectly. It doesn't look real. It really does not look real. It looks like one of those fake kind of like architect building situations to kind of give you an idea of what a town or a residential area could look like, like small but looks really real. Greece, for the most part, looks like a painting. It's so gorgeous, and I'm not being biased because I'm Greek. It's beautiful. So I highly recommend, if you have an opportunity to visit, you absolutely should. Don't go in August. Don't go in August. Don't go in August. Do not go to Greece in August. You will hate your life. It is the biggest tourist season in August. I do not recommend it if you are really trying to go and immerse yourself on the islands or in the small towns, because honestly, specifically on the islands like Mykonos, Santorini, they are jam-packed with influencers and celebs, and the restaurants are insane to get into if you don't know someone to get reservations ahead of time, which most of you wouldn't if you're just going there as tourists. So it is annoying. I would recommend not going there in August. Go September, October, or go like May, June. Also, the weather is pretty great in the May, June months there. So if you are looking for that night where it's not super, super hot, because August, it's like it's at its peak. So at any rate, the ladies are in Santorini and everything's pretty much going okay. There was no fights on the plane other than Angie and Lisa fighting over who had their Cartier watch first and how old whose was. I mean, give me more of this type of fighting, please. I loved watching Angie and Lisa go back and forth about who had how many Porsches, who got their Porsche first, who got their Rolex first, who has their fifth Rolex, who has their fourth Rolex. I mean, honestly, yes, please. This is what I watch Housewives for, because it's so bonkers, right? But the funniest part was when the ladies are at dinner on their first night, Heather lets the group know that while they were in the airport and duty free, because she heard Angie and Lisa arguing about their Cartier watches, which interestingly enough, Mary says Cartier watches are a grandma watch, which I didn't think of it that way, but I guess it could be deemed as that. I I only have one Cartier watch, so I don't view that specific one an old lady or grandma watch. However, I could see it being someone of a specific age wanting it because of the class of watch and the aesthetic, whatever. Heather decides to go to duty free and said, you know what? These are only $6,000 a pop. And because it's duty free, it's like a BOGO sale. So she got her and Whitney matching Cartier watches. Ha 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 ha. So funny. All because they just wanted, take a poke at Lisa, because Lisa, I do feel she has a point sometimes. I do think that certain people in this group do not copy her, but see her wear something or do something, and they're like, oh, that's a good idea. And then they go and they try to mimic it or whatever have you. But I don't really think she's losing sleep over it. I think this is just, again, this is part of the show antics. And this is why I love this cast so much, is because they all clock in no matter what scene they're filming. And there clearly wasn't a lot that they were going to get into on this first dinner. So it was fun that they kept it light and shady, but not like super dark going into this whole trip. And Angie's really excited because, Angie has really made being Greek like fabulous and cool, in my opinion. And I'll be honest, when I was growing up, I did not think being Greek was cool. I didn't think it was fun. I always felt like I was the oddball out. But as I grew older, obviously, I would say probably in the last decade, I've really kind of immersed myself back into my roots, because I was born here, but my parents were not. They immigrated here. And my older siblings as well, they immigrated here. They are now citizens, as were my parents, But I was a natural born citizen, meaning I was actually born on US soil. So my experience around being Greek was very different than my siblings. They remembered going back to Greece every summer as they were growing up. They came from there as children. So they have a lot more memories of the culture and the way things are than I did. So, going back with Jeff, because Jeff had never been to Greece, going back as an adult and really kind of immersing myself back into the land, if you will, really left me feeling like more whole as a person. So I say that to say I really do appreciate that Angie is taking this Greek thing and running with it, because there's not a lot of Greek representation on our reality television screens, at least, and in entertainment, period. So I would love to see some more of that representation. And maybe I'm part of that, right? I'm putting myself out there. So I do enjoy this aspect of it. And I'm obviously a little biased because I'm Greek. So I kind of know all the places that they're at. But nonetheless, the trip seems like it's starting off right. Lisa Barlow ends up finding a glam person in Athens to bring out so that she can have her glam, because Lisa has glam every day. So to not be able to bring glam on the trip was really probably a frustrating thing for her. We all know she likes to get ready and she wants to feel good and look good. So she's definitely not going to be on time this episode. That's one thing we did notice. She's going to come after the fact. She'll meet you guys there. I am not this bad with getting ready. Like I don't get glam every day, obviously. But nonetheless, I am particular about getting ready, making sure I have things packed for different things that we may be going to or different situations. And so I don't like feeling like I need to hurry, hurry, hurry and rush, because then I feel not like myself and then I won't enjoy my time. And I know everyone has their opinion on it, and people say, like, well, if you're so hung up on how you look, that's a big insecurity. It's not that it's so much an insecurity for me. I just like to make sure when I'm done getting ready, I feel done. And if I feel rushed or I don't feel like I have enough time, that puts me at a strain and I don't feel like I'm making the best decisions for what I'm wearing or how I look or whatever the situation uh, may be that I'm walking into. So I get that aspect of it, but I also understand the rest of the group being like, "Come on, we're in Santorini. It's like sun's out, buns out, babe. Like it's not that deep. Put some BB cream on, a little eyeshadow stick. Let's go." But different strokes for different folks. But one thing that is a clear line of thread of unresolved issues is the situation involving Meredith and Heather. They have still not been able to lock in and move on from what seems to be more of Heather's issue, because Meredith is trying to kind of deflect this at any cost. And I believe that is why she has tried to reach out to Heather, as she said, like, I've called her, I've sent her messages. I told her on the bus today, we need to connect over this like situation. And that's all fine and dandy, Meredith. It really is. However, what I fear is happening this season with Meredith is we're not getting a lot from her. Either she didn't have a lot of storyline, or she's very comfortable, or I don't know. All I do know is the producers have almost made it feel like Meredith is friend of and Brittany is the one with the snowflake. We've gotten a ton more story out of Brittany, who's a friend of, than we have out of Meredith, who's been an OG full timer. And there's also been rumors that she may be demoted to friend of, which I don't think she'll take a friend of role. I think she'll walk away, because I just think that that's where her ego is at this given point. But then we also had Bronwyn saying on the Peacock special, the football reality check, whatever they did, that her choice of someone being benched next season would be Meredith. So that lets me know that Meredith gave nothing. And we can see she's not really giving us much. The one thing that could have been a big moment for her, which may not have been the best moment, was the plane ride. And we don't have footage from that, allegedly. And I don't know if I believe that, guys. I might be sticking to one of my original theories when this first came up, which was, okay, either Meredith said or did something so vile that even the producers know that if they even show any of that clip, it's going to look so bad for Meredith, there won't be any turning that story around, or nothing absolutely happened. And everything Heather and Whitney are drumming up here is all antics, knowing that there won't be any footage to disprove what they're saying. And after watching the way Meredith is coming across, I'm wondering if they were just trying to do something to get her activated. But it's not working. It's not working. She is really not going to go there. What I do think is interesting, though, is she did tell Heather, there's something you need to know about that situation. But it seems like she only wants to tell Heather one-on-one. She doesn't want to discuss this in front of the group anymore. And I get it. It has been discussed multiple times at this point, and we're not getting anywhere with it. So if you're not going to show us the footage so that we can at least make our own decisions, then why waste our time bringing it up at all? That's what I don't understand. It's always this way. It's like we spend all this time focusing on something that happened off camera. We're not going to see footage from, and it's a he said, she said, she said, she said. We don't get anywhere. And then we have to wait what seems to be like, I don't know, a whole year or two before we find out the truth, like with Heather Gay's black eye. Like we didn't all call that out from the get go. Heather, for whatever reason, is not giving Meredith the one on one that she's asking for. And that's because Heather knows that these conversations need to happen on camera. Now, I'm not going to assume that Meredith wanted an off-camera conversation with Heather, but for whatever reason, Heather doesn't trust the one-on-one conversation with Meredith, and she feels that if it is one-on-one, then Meredith can use that and spin it and twist it however she needs to. Listen, like I said, if producers were sitting directly behind Lisa and Meredith, because I do have someone who has given me some insight here, that is a bigger red flag. So if your producers are sitting behind you the entire time and they don't take out a phone to record even just the audio, fuck the video. You could have at least done a voice memo. You gave us plane footage, iPhone plane footage on the way to Greece. Nobody had their phone out. I don't believe it. I don't believe it in this day and age. So that's the part that really doesn't make sense to me. And so because it doesn't make sense and because we're not getting anywhere with any clarity on the matter, I'm really starting to lose my steam on it at any cost. I don't even care if she did it or not. Because even Brittany's over it, right? She's like, look, I don't even care. I'm not going to like keep going back and forth. Like, yes, Meredith gave her a quote unquote apology and took her quote unquote accountability, which wasn't really accountability or an apology, mind you. But Brittany's even like, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. I don't want to keep talking about this. This is ridiculous. She's clearly not going to fess up to any part of it at all, right? But I have to say, Bronwyn, you're another one that is really irking my nerves with this backpedaling stuff that you do. You want to come in a couple weeks ago, okay? You want to come in, and then as soon as the question's posed, oh, you're not wearing your wedding ring. Oh, yeah, it's because Todd did this, Todd did that. Todd and I aren't speaking. I told Todd he needs to leave. Blah blah blah. Then you have another conversation with Whitney, and I think you had it again with the other women, where you basically were like, look, if Todd wanted an open relationship, I would happily have that conversation with him. So now that you guys are sitting at lunch and Angie makes a joke saying, oh, did you meet any Greek men you would hook up with? Bronwyn's response is no, me and Todd are not in an open relationship. I don't know why you guys think that. And I wear all kinds of different jewelry, so I'm not wearing my wedding ring right now. And no, Todd and I are very happy. There's no issues between me and Todd. What are you talking? Like, that to me is, are you trying to put stuff out there in the moment because maybe in your mind you're like, if it's not brought up immediately after you bring it up the first time, then it's a lost storyline for you, so you don't really have to like stick to it or something? Because your response to everyone at that table was mind-boggling, so much so that Mary chimed in and was like, you did put that out there though. You willingly put that information out. So to act like now you're backpedaling when now people are bringing it up to you is wild, because it is. I think, here's what I think. Bronwyn may have some control in her relationship when it comes to certain angles, but I think overall, Todd is in charge. Okay. He's definitely in charge financially. She's not going to give up her lifestyle. She's not. You think she's going to be going backwards to like a place that she was trying to run away from in the first? No. She's going to mind Todd's manners and deal with whatever Todd throws at her. She's going to use what she can as a storyline on the show, but I don't believe she's going to leave Todd. I don't. Unless someone richer and better comes along, she's not going to ditch the lifestyle that she has worked so hard to get to. I'm not seeing it, but it is irking my nerves that she does this. She likes to backpedal a lot. She acts like she's sharing. She's so fluid. And then 2 episodes later, she's like, what are you talking? No, that's not what we're not in an open relation. Like, it's just, which one is it then? Or clarify. This would be the moment to then clarify. If everyone here has got it wrong, then clarify or update us because like it's getting confusing now. I don't know what's real and what's not with Bronwyn because if that wasn't what happened, then did Todd even leave your house? Did he stay at a hotel for real or did he just stay at a hotel because he was sick of hearing you bitch? I don't know. What I do know is that these ladies are always working full time. Even Meredith, who doesn't really give us a lot this season, she really gave us nothing at that last dinner. I have to say, you guys, I was like, look, in a normal life reality situation with no cameras, no TV show, if Meredith was in the situation that she was in with this group again, I would have told her, you know what? Don't say another fucking thing. Just get up and leave. You don't have to deal with this, you know? But we're on a reality show. So getting up and leaving is actually doing more harm than good because you getting up and leaving leaves everyone else to make up the narrative. Meredith was grilled yet again because she decided it would be fun to get Heather this peace offering gift. So she bought her this necklace and she gives it to her as they sit down for dinner. Very lovely, thoughtful gift, right? But then it comes up like, oh, wait, is this a peace offering because you don't want to discuss what's going on between us? Because I thought we were friends and I feel hurt that you don't want to acknowledge my feelings in all of this, right? But then we have Lisa, who is going to step in and protect Meredith and take up for her because I think they have whatever understanding they have that they must have each other's back no matter what. So Lisa's doing her part. She's saying like, look, Heather, you do messed up stuff too. Actually, everyone at this table does. And everyone wants to claim this person needs to be a better friend. Well, that starts with you. And I agree with that statement. I hate when people pile on other people for their lack of. So are you up to par with everything that you are doing? Are you being the best friend that you can be in every situation? Because everyone falls short. So to ice one person out because you have feelings that are hurt, that's fine. But, you know, Lisa reminds Heather, you hurt my feelings at Volter a couple weeks back. And they actually had a very honest exchange about it. Heather took accountability. She's like, and I'm sorry for that, you know, which made Lisa emotional. And I'm sorry. I know a lot of you guys hate Lisa Barlow. That's why I'm not here to sell you on her. But I do appreciate when she's being more vulnerable like this. You know, she's not afraid to cry and not afraid to say, like, you know, you really hurt my feelings with that. But that didn't get anything clarified between Heather and Meredith because Meredith sat there like a mannequin. 1 to 2 word responses. I don't know what she took before she came to dinner. I know that that's the running joke, but I'm really starting to wonder if maybe she does take things before these dinners because she gets highly anxious. I don't know. She had nothing to say. Okay. Not a thing. She wasn't going to discuss it to the point where Whitney is sobbing on the other side of the table. And she's like fucking Nancy Drew over there. Like, I figured it out. I know what's going on here because I see all my friends fighting in front of me. And it's all because of something you did, Meredith. You know, and it's like, I know people like Meredith. They're never going to admit, they're not going to admit something that they feel makes them look horrific. No, they're not. Because it's just, it's appearances. It's appearances. And I don't feel like Meredith was willing to play this season. I really don't. And you know what? Everyone has their season where they're just like, I don't feel like it. Pick someone else. But you know what, love? When you've got the full steam ahead that this franchise has, you want to hold on to it as long as you fucking can. So you're going to have to start figuring out a way to clock the fuck in or you're going to be demoted. You're going to be demoted. I kid you not, you guys. Meredith, if she doesn't pull out all the stops, reunion, all of it, she's going to be demoted. She'll be a friend of, and she won't accept that. I can guarantee you that. She will not accept a friend of role. So she'll just quit. But which would suck because Meredith is such a big part of the fabric of the show. So I hope that she can turn it around, or maybe she'll get a stern talking to or figure something else out. We got to move the dial a little bit here. But all in all, we are again at a dead standstill with this whole situation. We've talked about this several times and we're not getting anywhere, to the point where Meredith looks at everyone and says, there's been a lot worse done in this group, and then gets up and walks away. And yes, Lisa follows her because, again, they have to have each other's backs. So now Heather's feeling like, damn, I shouldn't have said anything at all. Now I'm in trouble. And it's like, I get what Heather's saying. I've been in situations like that. I was like, you just saying how you feel will make you feel like you're in the doghouse for simply saying how you feel. But everyone else around you can spit at you how they feel. But I also feel like Heather likes to play Judge Judy too much, and it probably does get on everyone's nerves. And at some point, the table will turn on Heather, and will Heather be able to take what she's dished out? I don't know. I am sick of Whitney though. This Whitney Heather like storm that they're trying to pull back together again because like Whitney, what's going on with you? Minus you blaming Justin for the reason why you guys joined an MLM scheme business, whatever. Like you can't put all those eggs in his basket. This was your fucking brand, by the way. Don't blame it on someone else. It was yours. You should have tended to it better, and you should have gotten a second opinion on the business matter before doing so. But now trying to throw it all at him like it's all his fault is very convenient. That's what I will say about that. So Whitney, where's your story? Heather, what's going on with you? Production, if there's footage of this plane situation with Meredith, please fucking show it sooner rather than later. Okay? Like in this current season. Don't show it to us next season. Well, that just got a little spicy there towards the end, didn't it? Look, it's Wednesday. Also, like, I can't believe Christmas is in like 2 weeks. Time is fucking flying, you guys, which is why I am so happy that I'm back on the podcast. It feels so fucking fantastic to be back and talking to you guys in like more than just a 3-minute video. I can't tell you. And for everyone that is annoyed with me, I am so, so sorry. I will try my best to win you back. I know how annoying it is when you have people that you look forward to their stuff and it's not coming out or it's just whatever. I assure you, I will not do that to you guys again. And I hope you guys will check out our business Pasta Rituals. Even if you just show it some love on the Instagram page, it's at Pasta Rituals. I would greatly appreciate it. If you are watching this episode on YouTube, hello, YouTube. Please hit all those buttons to make the video do the thing. If you're listening to audio, please rate this podcast 5 stars. If you're feeling nice, I would appreciate that. The podcast would appreciate that. And listen, I want to just say a big thank you to all of you guys. I know I'm a lot to deal with some days, some weeks. And, you know, it's the Greek in me. I'm working on it. But in the meantime, I want you guys to know that I am going to be releasing some Dorit merch from the last collection I did where I have her smoking cigs and there's like a pack of cigarettes called Dorit. So a lot of you guys have been asking for me to put some of those items back in the merch store. So I will be doing that today. So they will probably be out and available for purchase starting tomorrow. I will put a note out. But thank you to everyone who's been shopping the merch store. I love seeing your orders come in. And I think I'll leave it here for today. It's our first episode back after a while. So I kind of feel a little rusty still, but I feel like you guys make me feel, you know, very well oiled once I get going. So I appreciate that. Have an amazing rest of your Wednesday, guys. And until the next episode, I will talk to you on the next one. Bye.